Hello, this is Mish, and welcome to another Westworld video. This one is looking at the finale, so episode 10 of season 1, pointing out subtleties that we may have missed and obvious items hiding in plain sight. The episode was so jam-packed full of stuff that for these subtle things, sometimes you need a couple of viewings to really pick them up. So let's start with Ford's office. So we've seen him previously in the office. He has a set of miniature figurines and the miniature church. So we've seen him mucking around with that before. But with this one, we see Charlotte kind of walk in, having a conversation with him. And she glances at that area where the church is and some miniature figurines. And they are soldiers. They're not representative of anyone in particular, I believe. But they are just a representation of Wyatt's men. Now, why this is important is we see that he has strategically placed all of these figurines around the church exactly how the situation played out when he was doing his speech, when the man in black was shot. So what I wanted to point out was that was just a cool little foreshadowing, but also what's interesting is that you can see he's almost surrounded the whole area with these figurines. Now, for me, on one side, it's an attack, obviously. It's an attack on the board members that are there and all the humans there by the hosts. But I want to say it's not so much an attack as more of an extermination. Because it looks like they've completely surrounded them if you take the representation as an example of what's happening. So it doesn't really look good for the board members. It's going to be a bloodbath. Okay, now let's move on to the next thing I want to bring up. So this is about Maeve and her exit strategy. So we see Sylvester swap out some spine sections. So we believe it's C6, because that was the one which has the explosive in it. But one point, I'm not saying it happened or it didn't, but one thing I will note is that can we really trust Sylvester? Can we trust his, motive? Can we trust his competency? Because we know he's pretty incompetent. So a couple things there, could he have maybe doubled up on explosives? Could he have got the wrong ones? I'm not sure if it is the right ones. It looks about right, but I'm not a spinal expert. If anyone is, let me know if you think it's the right one. Interested to hear your guys' thoughts on that. But yeah, so let's talk about Maeve's code. So we see when Bernard looks at it. So Sylvester mentions someone's been mucking around with the code. So she shows Bernard. And we see a flash of what's on the screen, what's on the tablet. And Bernard reads some of it too. So we see that the Arnold Weber has been editing Maeve's code, making her decisions, and she's been set to deceive, coerce, recruit, escape. Then that's where Bernard gets cut off. So he's trying to explain this, what her steps are. She stops him. But we can see it. And we kind of hear him start saying it. The last one he's going to say is infiltrate the mainland. And we can see it on screen here as well. The last one there is infiltrate the mainland. I just find that really cool. But I guess it opens more, opens another can of worms. Who is doing this? Because many people would immediately say it's Ford. We see that Ford is doing all this work. He's registered. He has Arnold's log on. He'll be doing it. But I say there might be more to this than just pointing our finger at Ford with Maeve, the Maeve situation. Because we hear Ford turn around to Bernard just before the Wyatt narrative really takes a big step with Ford dying, obviously. So he says to Bernard, to escape this place, you'll need to suffer more. So for me, him saying that, and that was, I think, him saying for you to escape this place is a reference to all the hosts, not just Bernard. And for me, I don't think he would have done he's not going to send Maeve out by herself. He wants everyone to gain consciousness. It feels like Maeve is on a different path than everyone else. Then that leads to the question, who is controlling her? Who is doing all the stuff to get her to infiltrate the mainland? And for what purpose? What are your guys' thoughts on that? I'm just going to leave that there because I want to do another video going more in depth about all this. But I just wanted to point out that subtlety there about the last step in that code that we can see, which is infiltrate the mainland. Okay, now on to the next thing. It's still related to Maeve and her gang, which is Hector and Armistice, when they enter Samurai World. So we can see, you know, the border to Samurai World. It has the big SW on the wall, and I believe it's Samurai World. I don't know what else it could represent there, and that seems to be what the rest of the internet is interpreted as well. So we see Armistice kind of look down between the buildings. So we see, you know, there are so many floors, it goes on forever. You can't even see the bottom, it goes on that long. Now, what I find interesting about this is the geography around it. So we know that the Westworld labs, laboratory, the staff quarters, the bar on top with the swimming pool, that's all located in Westworld. You know, inside the big kind of the bedrock, the big mountain on the side there, it's built into it. We have multiple floors going there, so we've got the basement at the bottom. So we've seen the staff members go up and down there, and that's fine. Now, what I want to bring up here is, you know, Maeve and her gang would have been walking maybe 10 minutes in a certain direction. It doesn't really matter what direction. So they're in the base, a couple levels down, walking in a certain direction for 10 minutes. They're not going to be able to leave Westworld within that time. You know, if you change that representation to they were on the surface, walking in 10 minutes, you're going to get nowhere in Westworld. It'll still be the desert. As you can see by the pictures here, you know, the whole area around the base was surrounded by desert. So how have we come from going from Westworld to walking across a bridge which is, you know, 10, 20 meters to being in Samurai World? Now, is it just that this is the location, the main Westworld park is the location which they house all the hosts. So they work on all the hosts within the Westworld park. There's definitely a possibility. Or on the other side, one option could be that they were also suggesting that when you're in the Samurai World, if you go up in a lift, you're going to appear within Samurai World. It doesn't really make sense to have all these, you know, all the hosts, all this work in that same location. Then you have to travel completely out of Westworld, which is quite a way to transport the hosts. It makes more sense to have the hosts, you know, being repaired and worked on within the same area. So it just seems strange if they're trying to suggest that. There's obviously some geographical issues there because the Samurai World is in the complex where Westworld is. You know, once again, I'm not saying that it's completely unrealistic to be that's the main location where they're going to fix the hosts, where they're going to work on them, then they'll transport them out. It just seems a bit weird. Thought I'd point it out. Okay, that probably covers it for Maeve's kind of interesting points. Now I want to move on to Dolores, because there was two things about what she did this episode. There was one scene that she had with William, where William says, you know, unlock the maze, take me to Wyatt. Now, it's pretty cool, because that's the scene where Dolores ends up smashing William, you know, breaking his arm, giving him a good smackdown, which is fairly deserved, I would say. But the interesting part for me with that is that when the Man in Black, or William, says, take me to Wyatt, there's this really cool moment, and it's really good acting by the actress that played Dolores, where she kind of looks around and head down, then head back up. And from that point on, it's Wyatt. That's how I interpreted it. Is that how you guys interpreted it? I quite like that. I mean, you could just say that that Dolores is pushed past the point, and she goes crazy. But for me, he asks to talk to Wyatt. She took him to Wyatt. She put on that Wyatt persona, because we know that she has the coding for the Wyatt character, which we saw Arnold upload to her at the time where Arnold was killed. So she managed to access that code, and show William Wyatt, which is pretty cool. I think that was quite subtle. I picked it up. Did you guys pick it up? Or did you interpret it a different way? And probably the last point for the video, and once again, this is open to interpretation. So this is just my thoughts on this scene, well, a couple of scenes actually. So it was what, I guess the narration or the voiceover that Dolores did for two scenes, where she said the same thing. So in the very opening scene, she said, I am in a dream. I do not know when it began or whose dream it was. I know only that I slept a long time. Then one day I woke up. Your voice is the first thing I remember. It goes on a little bit more than that, but that was the basic stuff. So we've seen that at the start. we see that as well when Dolores finds her consciousness. So that scene, which is once again an amazing scene where she's talking to Arnold and all of a sudden she's talking to herself, that's the moment for me, in my interpretation, in my eyes, that was her moment of clarity where she sees that, she is conscious, that she can progress. Now let's talk about the starting scene where we hear the same lines, and it was her waking up for the very first time. Now, when I first saw that scene and heard her talking, I immediately thought about the topic of consciousness, and where does it belong, and where does it come from. And I quite like this idea that the phrase that she's saying there is very valid for when she finds her consciousness, but is it also valid for when she wakes up? Because whilst she has found her consciousness, are we saying that she never had consciousness until that point, or she just didn't understand it? So from that starting scene, I can interpret that another way as well, because I really enjoy the conversation around where is the consciousness in our brain, and that kind of conversation is, scientists disagree as to where it is, and there's awesome debates. If you look up some debates around that topic, it's really amazing. Some people will debate that it's actually not within the brain. Some people debate that it doesn't make sense that it's even in the human body. There's so many awesome ideas around it. I'm not saying I believe any particular one. I just really enjoy that debate. But yeah, it was cool because I took that starting scene with her saying that as a real point to that her consciousnness has arrived in her body, in that shell somehow. And I think that's pretty cool. That's obviously pushing the theory train out a bit, but I thought I'd stick it in here for this one. So I'll leave this video here. I'm going to go into all these topics in a lot more complexity in a theories video, because there's many things to talk about still. I just wanted to cover these points off because I find them pretty cool, and once again, it's such a jam-packed episode. I think there were some things there that may have been overlooked. I definitely overlooked some of these points, and I only picked them up after another rewatch. So please give me a thumbs up if you liked the video, thumbs down if you didn't obviously, and leave those comments, that feedback down below, as I try to read it all and comment on as much as I can as well. That would be fantastic. And subscribe for future content from myself, with some more Westworld theories videos coming out in the near future, and we'll see where the path leads after that as well. So until next time, this is Mesh, and I'll see you later.